everybody. I'm David Barr with Berkshire Hathaway in Palmer Ranch in Sarasota. Welcome to my very first Facebook Live streaming broadcast. I promise that hopefully we won't have too many technical glitches today. The sound is what I'm most worried about. But what we're going to talk about today, I wanted to bring in our closing title maven, Jenna Baird. She is with FTG Title Agency, who is our in-house title company for Berkshire Hathaway Home Services. And one of the biggest questions I think most realtors get is about closing and title costs.
Yes.
What should I expect to pay? So I think since this is my first Facebook Live, I think we'll try this for about 30 minutes, see how it goes. If we have feedback from you all with questions, please feel free to leave your questions, and we'll see them here on our screen, and we'll get back to you. We'll answer you live, or if you have questions after the live broadcast is done, one of us will get back to you with questions and answers to your questions. So I think we'll go ahead and kick this off.
All right,
Are you
let's
ready?
do this. Yes, absolutely.
Jenna, since this is my first one, Jenna volunteered to be the guinea pig for this, so I hope I don't ruin her reputation completely.
I hope not.
No, I think
I'm always willing to do something crazy when it comes to title.
Why not, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so one of the questions I always get, I'm sure you hear this too, is once I write a contract, how long can I expect to take? Like from the time we go to contract, how long is a reasonable time to go into escrow and to close?
Yes, very common question for sure. And the first question that I would have for my realtor bringing the contract is, of course, is the buyer financing, or are they paying cash? Because that's definitely going to affect how long it takes to close. Sometimes lenders take, well, most of the time, lenders take much longer to process a loan than it would to process a cash closing process. So if they're paying cash, we can go ahead and get everything ordered. We always order everything the day that we receive the contract from the realtor. We'll order an estoppel letter from the homeowners association.
Okay.
Now, that's typically the most time-consuming part of the process because it depends on the association as to how long it's going to take them to provide the information that we need to be able to prepare the settlement statement.
Let me ask you a question about that, though, real quick, because I've noticed in dealing with, I work a lot with buyers, and working with you and getting all that process done, I'm noticing a lot of management companies putting a lot of these things online. Does that make your job easier?
It does. It definitely makes it easier. Most of the big property management companies are online now, so we already have all of the contact information for the association president. We have the websites available, readily available, so it's literally as easy as a click of a mouse to get the estoppel ordered.
Because I know I've sweat many times where the association doesn't respond.
Absolutely.
Like it's a small association, it could push the closing back. But I'm glad to see a lot of these things going online.
That is very, very true. That's the case. I actually am working on a closing right now with one of our agents, and I 15 minutes ago just got back from driving over to the association to have the, one association manager. She's the only person that participates in the association. Actually complete the estoppel letter in front of me and bring it back to our company so that we could, go ahead and get closed, because these, the woman, she didn't have email, she didn't have a fax number, she only communicates via telephone. Welcome to Sarasota, that's right. And, so you sometimes have to go the extra step to make sure that these things get taken care of in a timely manner, because, we love our small associations, but,
you just totally dovetailed into my next question.
Yeah.
And I think you just gave a big part of the answer to that. What's the difference between using a title company, a title agent versus a real estate attorney? And you answered part of that with what you just said is you'll get out from behind your desk, go drive to find these people to get the signatures done.
Absolutely.
I know a lot of real estate attorneys won't do that.
No,
they don't pay their assistants to do that.
Again, we love our attorneys, Florida real estate attorneys, absolutely fabulous. However, it's about the personal experience when it comes to especially your in-house title company. I know all of my realtors personally. They all have my phone number. They have, my email address. They know they can call me, text me, email me at any time. And if there's a problem with the closing, we're going to fix it. We're going to make it happen.
Absolutely.
So, yeah, absolutely.
I can speak first person witness to that.
We've been
She's done a good job on some of my closings too. So there is a difference between, selecting a real estate attorney and a closing agent or a title agent. personally, for me, there are times, and there's a niche that I specialize in for owner financing. And a lot of times it's probably better to select an attorney in that case because they're writing the mortgage agreement. They're doing all the legal documents that a bank would do for their loan. So sometimes a real estate attorney for something like that, in a very rare instance, maybe is better. But most of the time, Jenna's my go-to person for real estate closings now, and there is a difference. So.
And even in a situation like that, when you have owner financing, it's always an option to have the attorney do an attorney review and still have your title agent do the actual closing for you, because we can handle the process, and sometimes, most of the time, it's more cost effective for our customers.
Probably, yes.
We can handle the entire closing for a far less cost and still have the attorney do the review portion and, review the contract, review all the owner financing documents, everything that's required for that portion of it. And that's still less than the attorney actually handling the entire closing most of the time.
The one thing I found, if you're going to do owner financing, by the way, and you do have an attorney review, is to set very clear deadlines on when the review is supposed to start and end.
Yes.
Because otherwise,
very important.
The attorney would love to drag it out and continue to charge their customer or your buyer, whichever the case may be. So anyway, I don't want to make a big deal out of owner financing. It's not a huge part of our business or what we do,
but it happens.
But it does happen, and there is definitely a choice that you can make when it comes to closing one of those deals.
Right.
What's the paying cash? What's the shortest amount of time I can expect to close on a property once I have it under contract?
Well, we specialize in closings for Manatee and Sarasota County for our 4 offices that we work with. Manatee County tends to get their unrecorded municipal lien search back to us a little quicker than Sarasota County does. So it's really contingent on that. We've already determined it totally depends on your estoppel letter. If your association is going to take 30 days to get me the estoppel letter, then we're closing in 30 days. But outside of that, the unrecorded municipal lien search takes the longest. Sarasota County is running at about 10 business days right now. It's been up to 15 business days. So I always recommend to my realtors, just call me when you have a contract that you're working on writing. And, you can always write that on or before a certain specified date, just to give us plenty of time, depending on the county, to get that lien search back.
That's a good point, because there is difference between doing a deal in Sarasota County and doing a deal in Manatee County also.
Yeah, and sometimes the county gets backlogged. They'll tell us that it's a certain, period of time, and then it takes a little longer. That's out of our control, but we certainly call and bug them enough times to where they get it to us as soon as possible.
Good. And we just got the thumbs up from one of our office managers that she can hear us and see us. It's going good. So yay.
Fabulous. That's good news.
High five for the first one. Absolutely. Okay.
Absolutely.
I know you always get this question. How much are closing costs going to be on this $300,000 house?
All right. Well, that is a very important question for anybody that's going to work on a closing. You've got buyer's closing cost and you've got seller's closing cost. Now, it depends on the county as to who's paying what. Per the contract, our seller is 99% of the time going to pay doc stamps, otherwise known as transfer taxes on the deed. That's a pretty hefty closing cost. Outside of that, you're going to have the owner's title insurance policy. For the owner's title insurance policy is promulgated according to the sales price of your home. So it's a certain rate that's set regardless of whether you close with Florida Title and Guarantee. Yes, you've got our fabulous rate sheet.
I have a well-worn card here that Florida Title gives us. I just give this to clients because it's a title insurance rate fee structure. And it's based on the sales price of the home, but it's an escalating cost. Once you get to a certain point, then it increases again, and then it's cumulative. You can't add all that together in your head. So I have this in my briefcase at all times. If someone asks me a question, it's very easy. Plus, I've also scanned this, and I put it on davidbarhomes.com, which is my Venice real estate website, on my page for closing costs. So if you want a quick question or you want to see this, maybe a little bit easier version to read, go to davidbarhomes.com, search for closing costs under the buyers tab on the main menu, and you'll see this document scanned, and you'll be able to get an idea of what closing costs might be for whatever home you're looking for, whatever budget you're working with.
That's true, David. And don't forget also that if our buyer is financing their purchase, the state of Florida offers what's called a simultaneous issued policy. So they get a discounted rate on that second policy.
Okay.
Whereas many states, they charge a full premium for both the loan policy, which covers the loan amount,
Right.
and then the owner's policy, which covers the sales price of the
Exactly.
home. So, Florida, we give you a little discount on that. You're going to pay for
Right.
your owner's title insurance policy.
So those of you who are thinking of moving to Florida from a high tax state,
Yep.
we're giving you even a little bit more of a break on, state income taxes, our
Yep.
property values are a little bit less, and your closing costs are going to be a little bit less.
Absolutely. And to finish the closing cost discussion, if anybody has a contract that they're working on and they don't have that fancy little rate sheet with them or access to the internet, they're always welcome to give me a call.
Okay.
Or either one of our associates, and just let us know that they're working on a contract. We'll work up a rate sheet for them and send it right over to them via text, email, or
Right.
just over the phone. We can talk to them about that.
Okay, now I'm going to bring up, I don't know if it's a sore subject or not, the app.
The app. Yes, it is
This
a sore
is,
subject.
I'm
We're
kind of,
working on it.
yeah, I'm kind of the tech geek, and I planted the idea with Jenna about having some kind of an app
Mhm.
that we could download onto our phones when we're working with customers. We can just put in the purchase price, and boom, it shoots out a nice, clean little number for the total closing costs. And we had it done at one point,
Yes,
and then it's not done.
it's under maintenance at this
It's under
time. It's
maintenance,
under
okay.
maintenance. We are working on it.
Okay.
Everything, if you already have the app downloaded on your phone, then everything's going to be accurate as far as the title insurance premium, the title search fee, the lien search fee. Everything looks good except for the settlement fee. The settlement fee, for some reason, is not populating correctly.
Okay.
So I am asking my agents to give me a call and have me personally
Okay.
prepare that rate sheet, just so we can give the most accurate
Right.
estimate of the
Right.
closing costs. So
Technology is a mistress.
it is.
So,
It's ever changing,
It's
and
not
we're
always
trying to
the
keep
nicest
up.
mistress, but we're working on that,
Yes.
and we're always trying to come up with ideas that's going to make it easier for our customers and for us to help service what you're looking for also, or answer your questions.
Absolutely, and we're hoping 2019 is the year we're going to have the app up and running perfectly, so everybody can access it with
Right.
ease.
So, okay, good. I love technology.
Yes.
Here's another question. When we write a contract,
Mhm.
the state gives us up to 3 days to make the deposit. So once we make the deposit,
Mhm.
how is that handled and who is holding onto it during the escrow period?
Well, that's also negotiable in your contract. It totally depends on, with our company, with Berkshire Hathaway, typically if our Berkshire agent brings the buyer to the transaction, then Berkshire Hathaway is going to hold the escrow deposit. So they'll be able to either write a check to Berkshire Hathaway, or they'll be able to wire transfer the funds directly to Berkshire's escrow company.
Okay.
If our Berkshire agent brings the seller to the transaction, then our company, Florida Title, has the opportunity to hold the escrow. At that time, buyers can go ahead and wire in the funds. They can write the check. However they intend to handle that would be fine, and then we would provide all parties a receipt of that escrow deposit.
And you bring up an interesting topic, because it's not a question that I had on my list, but wire transfer of escrow deposit. There's been cases of wire fraud
Wire
involving
fraud's a
real
big
estate.
deal.
So can you describe a little bit how we're handling that when we interface with you?
Absolutely.
And when you're interfacing with our customers about making the wire transfer and make sure that it's been received.
We scare the life out of them. That's the goal. We
Because
scare
there's
them
so
to
much
death.
money you could possibly lose. I
It-
think somebody up at Tampa lost, what, $150,000?
Oh, yes,
Just like,
we have
boom.
seen so many
Disappeared.
losses from, it doesn't have to be a scary experience for our customers. They can trust the experience if they follow the protocol properly. And our company just adds an extra step of protection for the customers by requiring that they give us a call and personally speak to one of our title agents to obtain the last 4 digits of our account number.
Right.
We call them, we tell them this, that they're going to need to speak with us in order to get those last 4 digits of the account number.
Right.
If ever they receive wire transfer instructions from us that has the full account number, it's not from us. It could very well be, it is going to be a fraudulent email
Right.
address.
Right.
These fraudsters, they've gotten tricky these days. They can commandeer your email address,
They can. If you're using a Gmail address, for example,
Mhm.
Gmail is not encrypted. So
right?
if there's no way, since I use Gmail for my business communications, there is absolutely no way that I'm going to be communicating with you as a customer
Mhm.
what the closing instructions are. Nothing's going to come from me to you as a customer, buyer, or seller regarding closing or transfer of funds,
Right.
that's going to come from Jenna or somebody in her office, and they're going to talk to you directly. There's not going to be, hi, I'm calling from someone. They don't even say where they're calling from, but it's not going to potentially be somebody who is scraping emails from Nigeria.
Yeah.
You're going to talk to a live person with Florida title to get the instructions and make sure that your money is transferred safely. So we go that extra step to make sure that your $150,000 deposit, like happened in Tampa, doesn't disappear into the Ethernet. So
absolutely.
That's a big topic.
Yeah, and just to make another note on that topic, because it is so important in this industry. Anytime somebody's going to send you wire transfer instructions to your email and say, this is very important, I want you to get this over to me immediately. It's super urgent that we get this money sent over right now. Here's our wire instructions. Or at the very last minute, our escrow account information has changed, so we are not able to use the prior wire instructions that we've provided to you. We need you to use these wire instructions that are attached to this email.
Right.
That's a fraudster. There's no reason at any point in time in your process that the title company is going to say, we changed our account information and here's new wire transfer instructions to send money to. They're sending you fake instructions that are going to take your money somewhere you don't want it to go.
Exactly. Let's see. I'm seeing, in my business at least, I know other agents are too, we rarely sit down at a typical closing table where both parties are at the closing transaction. Usually, what I'm seeing mostly now is that the buyers go back up north or wherever they're from. The documents are sent. Are you still requiring, or is it still a requirement that we have what's called wet ink signatures on all the documents, or can you do e-sign closings?
Again, that depends on if your customer is paying cash for their purchase or if they're financing.
Okay.
If we're talking the buyer and they're paying cash for the purchase, we do offer a service called DocuSign, where we can just email the documents to the customer and they electronically sign them. It takes all of maybe 30 seconds for them to sign the whole closing package.
Right.
And then the documents are electronically sent back to our company, signed and perfect. Yes.
Right.
However, if they're financing, then that lender is still going to require wet ink on their documents. And we do require wet ink on our documents for all sellers. We want to make sure that the seller of this property is authentic. There's no fraud going on. They own the property. There's not, we want to put, our hands on these documents with these sellers and make sure that everything is 100% legitimate. So we do require those documents with
just kind of as a side story to that. This is before I joined Berkshire. I had a customer who contacted me because I have a pretty big online presence, and they contacted me from France. And they said, I own a condo in Bradenton that I've never set foot in. They bought it long distance as an investment. It was rented, and there was a rental company managing it. So the first question I had was, is this really the owner of the property?
Right.
You never, ever know. So what Jenna just said about making sure we have wet signatures on the documents from sellers, make sure that they actually do own the property. That's a must, because in this day and age, you don't know who's coming at you from what direction and what they're telling you, if it's true or not.
Absolutely.
As it turned out, the guy from France was true. He was a real deal.
In that situation.
He went to the embassy and got notarized, signatures sent back to us. Everything was fine, but you never know. So we're always cognizant of these kind of things happening.
Absolutely.
And that way, just make sure that there's no last minute, oh my God, pull your hair out. We don't have a deal because the guy's not real, and I'm buying a new house, and I've got to move, and so many nightmare things could happen.
Absolutely. Well, you also have issues. Sometimes somebody will think that they own a property and they really don't. Right. That's our job as a title company to make sure that every, the deed has been vested properly, that, if there's a trust, the correct trustee is going to be signing the closing documents, legally is great, but.
You ever get contacted from a relative who says, well, why are they selling that house? That's not theirs to sell. I own it.
We have had issues, and often that will happen when a parent has passed away.
Okay.
And there's children involved that are, sometimes all trustees of the trust, and they all have to sign, and they don't all get along, and they don't want to agree on everything, and this one took care of mom for longer, so they should be eligible for more of the money, and there's so many different situations.
So that's getting into probate kind of issues?
It
Is that what you're
is.
talking about?
It is. Yeah, and we deal directly, with the probate judge to make sure everything is taken care of correctly through a process like that.
Okay.
But
there's a lot of layers to closing a
There is.
piece of real estate,
yes.
or there can be. So that's where your expertise comes in.
We try to make it as simple as possible for everyone. We try not to bog, our customers down with a lot of great details. We do a lot of behind the scenes work to make sure that things are taken care of, and in a timely manner, and that it's done correctly.
Right, because if I'm taking a listing as an agent, and then the seller doesn't tell me, I've got relatives who also own this property, and maybe they're not the ones who can really actually sign a listing agreement legally.
Yep.
So all kinds of things can happen. That's where the closing process is so important, and that's why we want to make sure that everything's covered for you.
Absolutely.
I want to talk to you a little bit because this is a niche I've been working in a lot in the past year and a half, and that's new construction.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of the new home builders, the major new home builders, like in our area, we have Lennar, we have D.R. Horton, we have Toll Brothers, we have, who else? We have M.I. Homes, which is more regional. We have a few local kind of regional builders also, but they all, in some form, have closing costs and lending incentives if you use their lender and if you use their title company. I know a couple of the bigger ones like D.R. Horton and Lennar maybe to a little bit lesser extent, but D.R. Horton offers up to $5,000 closing cost credit if you use their title company. And if you get a mortgage from them, they'll take another $5,000 off closing costs. So you can get $10,000. Basically, you're almost not paying any closing costs at that point, which sounds attractive to a home buyer because home buyer's thinking, I've got to upgrade that floor. I've got to put in those appliances. I've got to put in this crown molding. They're looking at probably another $20,000 to $30,000 in upgrades on top of the sale of the house. Then they're also looking at a lot premium. Sometimes that's up to $50,000, $75,000, $100,000 for what kind of view you have out your lanai in the back. So all those things add up. So when they're sitting down and talking to the home builder, those incentives are a little bit of a relief to them. That's money off of their ledger. That's not going out of their pocket as quickly. So in those cases, though, you still, I think, want to talk to or get a second opinion. And I would like you all to talk to Jenna about that because a lot of times the builders have inflated costs. Yes. And it's always good for a second opinion. So if you want to expand on that.
It really is. And I'm from the home building world. I have done new construction closings for the last 5 years of my life. So I have great experience in this area. And first and foremost, we don't want our customers to lose out on some great savings. We don't want anybody to lose out on a big chunk of change. Some of these builders legitimately offer great incentives to close with their in-house title company and as well, as their in-house financing company.
Right.
So if they're going to lose $5,000 or $10,000 from doing this, more power to you. Great, good job with that. And that's fabulous. And I'm still happy to help you throughout the process. However, a lot of times these contracts, they can be easily 100 pages long or sometimes more. And do our buyers read all of the terms and conditions in these contracts? No. But I have. I've read every word of every clause of these contracts. So there's sometimes an appearance that there would be a discount with their in-house title company, but when it comes down to actually reading the contract, there's not much of a discount that they're offering. And, we can make some adjustments to make that, at least equivalent to, the settlement fee that they're offering. They sometimes, more often than not, have inflated costs when it comes to the title search. When it comes to the lien search, there's a lot of inflation when it comes to those costs. And, new construction contracts mean your buyer is going to be absorbing most of the costs that a seller would typically absorb in a regular, residential sale and purchase contract. So.
Yes, and the other thing too, it's not really a closing cost subject, but it's a subject that comes up quite a bit along the lines of new construction. A builder contract is Florida legal, but it is not like a Florida residential sales contract that we would use as realtors. The contracts that a new home builder uses favor the builder. Yes. So you do need to have, I would say, have Jenna, review what they're offering for their closing costs and let her go through, page by page and see if the fees are reasonable. But the other thing you need to know about a new home builder contract is that you can't change one period on that contract or they will not accept it.
It's true.
So
it's absolutely true.
You should, as a new home buyer, you should be, reading these documents to make sure you fully understand what's involved. Make sure that the costs are reasonable and accurate, but also know that you don't have to use their lender or their title company.
Right.
Go to somebody like Jenna who can guide you through the process. Now, the builder will say these title and mortgage people are in our building. It makes it easier to communicate. I've heard stories where the builder won't communicate with a title company or an outside lender. That's where we get involved as your realtor.
Which is why it's so important to have a realtor.
Good point again, because so many buyers walk in on their own to these builders, write a contract on a house, and if you have absolutely zero representation or you're not working with a realtor like me, who's worked with a lot of new construction buyers over the course of the past few years, and Jenna, who's got new home builder experience, you're throwing a lot up in the air.
There's a lot of risk
you're leaving a lot of potential headaches on the table that you're going to find out as these things come up.
Yes.
I had a buyer who was adamant about not closing because of some quality construction issues, and the builder was like, we can force you to close.
Yep, absolutely. And if you don't, then we're going to keep your $100,000 deposit.
Yeah, if you don't, you default and you've lost your huge deposit.
Absolutely.
So
and they can do that.
They can do that. I haven't had any customers do that, and the customer who threatened not to close did close on time.
Thank goodness.
Despite some weather delays from rain to summer. But anyway, I digress. We're getting away from the title issues. But there's so much involved with buying a house in Florida, whether it's a resale or a new construction house, that I and Jenna can help you with. Our goal, I know my goal, your goal I'm sure too, is no surprises. We want you to be fully informed. We want you to know what's happening with your closing and the status of the sale or purchase of your property here in Florida. So that's what our job is to take the uncertainty out of it, answer questions where we can. I don't have all the answers all the time.
And neither do I, but
she does.
most of the time.
She goes to a sales meeting and she's like, she knows everything. So we just rely on Jenna for all the closing costs stuff that we don't know.
But you know what? It brings up a good point too, David, is we don't know everything, but we do this every day.
Right.
Our customers don't. And that's something that I do try to explain to our customers very early on in the process. They get very nervous about things, and that's okay. I tell them, call me if there's something that you are concerned about.
If you're not nervous, there's something wrong.
Yeah. This is the biggest investment that most people make for their entire lives. Purchasing a home, and some people have the luxury of doing it all the time, but most of us don't.
Right.
So that's why you have a qualified realtor and title agent to have your back, to make sure that your interests are protected and to inform you and educate you on the process so that you're covered.
That is key, because I deal with a lot of folks from up north. They've lived in their current home for 20, 30, 40 years.
Yep.
And in that 20, 30, 40 years, the whole real estate industry has completely changed.
Totally different.
What did you do 40 years ago that you remember very well? I don't remember taking my first driver's test.
Right.
Those kind of things. So apply that to real estate. It's changed so much that, in essence, a lot of these people who do own property up north that move down here are like first-time buyers because the whole process is so foreign.
I know so many people will come to a closing, especially if they're financing their purchase, and they'll sit down in front of me, and I have this stack of documents that are this big, and they say, well, the last time I did this, I only signed 3 pages.
I know. Exactly. But thanks to Dodd-Frank.
Thank you, Dodd-Frank, yes.
We had the whole TILA issue that's kind of come and gone because we've all gotten used to it. And the whole truth in lending disclosure for mortgages and all that stuff is part of the closing. So I think we've done a pretty good job of filling up that half hour.
Awesome. Has it been a half hour already?
It's already been a half hour.
We can do this all day.
I know it. Do you guys have any questions? If you do, go ahead and let us know. You can ask us questions after this is ended, and we'll, like I said in the beginning, we'll get back to you. But I want to thank Jenna Baird from FTG Title. Jenna is awesome at what she does. A lot of us in our office, most of us in our office, rely on her and her services. Plus, it's great to have somebody in-house where I can just pick up the phone. I know she's going to get back to me right away with an answer to a question.
It's all about the relationship. It really is.
That's right.
In this entire
the relationship and having your back, answering your questions, and taking all the anxiety out of the closing of your property here. Jenna covers an area between Sarasota and
all the way up to
Hillsborough County, right?
Yep, exactly. Although we have offices throughout the entire state of Florida,
right.
you know, so.
It's all the same company.
Yeah.
Florida Title Guarantee has offices where we have offices.
Mm-hmm.
And basically we go around, I don't know if you can see this, but we go around the whole state. Basically from Sun City Center all the way up the East Coast, up through Jupiter, Stewart, Port St. Lucie, and then we have offices in Orlando. Yeah. So we're covering a huge part of the state. So if you're selling in another part of the state, yeah. We can help you with that, with finding a referral. We can help you if you're coming from up north, we have a lot of Berkshire Hathaway affiliates. We have Edina Realty in Minneapolis and Minnesota. We have Long and Foster in the DC and Arlington, Virginia area. We have folks in Texas that are well known. I can't think of the name off the top of my head, but basically some of the better known real estate brands in some big cities that yep. you know people who would be moving here are going to recognize. So contact me if you're looking for real estate in the Sarasota area. I'll be working with Jenna to help you with the closing. And if you need a real estate agent who's like-minded as far as being high-tech and marketing for your home, back where you're coming from, I'm the tech geek, yeah. And I can talk to you about that. There's a big difference between agents who are using technology and agents who are just kind of relying on what the broker provides, which nothing wrong with what the broker provides. There's definitely a level above that, and we'll get into that in another podcast or another Facebook Live. Mm-hmm. But I want to thank you all for tuning in. This has been fun for our first one. 30 minutes goes by quick.
It did. It definitely did. And should we give our email addresses?
Go ahead if you want to.
Okay, so if anybody has any questions regarding a closing, you can reach me at jenniferbaird@ftgagency.com.
And I tried to make it as simple as possible to reach me, depending on where you are. If you're in Lakewood Ranch, my real estate website is lakewoodranchdavid.com. Mm-hmm. If you're in Sarasota, it's sarasotadavid.com. And if you're in Venice, it's davidbarhomes.com. So if you have property to sell or you're interested in buying in any of those three areas, you can go to those websites, look at all the videos I have, all the neighborhood profiles. I answer a lot of closing cost questions, but not to the depth we got in today.
It's a great resource.
And I think it will help you. I hope it helps you. That's my goal. So I think that's about it.
All right, fabulous.
Jenna, awesome job.
Thank
that was
you.
the first Facebook Live I've ever done.
I think
it went much better than I thought.
Yeah, hopefully everybody enjoyed it.
I hope so. I hope they thought it was informative. And like I said, look forward to doing the next one, which will be about rental properties, buying rental properties as investments. We'll be talking to Kelly Oakes, who is our in-house rental goddess, who covers about the same area that you do. She covers a pretty good geographic area. She provides outstanding services for rental properties, and we'll be talking about the rental market in the area, buying, selling, holding rental properties, and we'll have somebody who does it 100% of the time on our next Facebook Live. So again, I want to thank you. I'm David Barr, Berkshire Hathaway, Jenna Baird. See you the next time. Thanks a lot.
That was fun.
That was good. I thought, yeah. Do you want to end this live video? Yes.